turning on. And our consciousness, if everything around us is dark and one thing is lit, our consciousness naturally goes towards that. So similarly for us, the spiritual world is, a spiritual level of reality is dark. Yanisha sarva bhutana tasyam jagrati sanyam yasyam jagrati bhutani sanisha pashyato mune. So actually the spiritual level of reality is real. What is happening in the movie theater is real. What is happening on the movie is not real. But when the movie theater goes dark and the movie starts playing, what is happening in the movie appears real and the movie theater goes into the background. So similarly for us, Purushaha Prakritistohi. When the soul gets caught in material nature, then the screen, whatever is happening in the material world, it appears real. And the spiritual reality, all that appears very remote. It appears very distant. It appears quite irrelevant. So that's why that which is night for all living beings is day for the self-realized. Self-realized are like the mother. See, nothing is wrong. Why is the child getting so horrified by the horror movie? But that which is day for the self-realized is night for all living beings. And the people who want to enjoy the horror movie, they want to enjoy the movie. Real life appears very boring. Nothing is happening over here. Just want to watch some movies. And nowadays, the technology, people say that it is progressing so much and we can do so many things. But nowadays, actually, the more and more technology is advancing, people are getting more and more bored. And sometimes people say in the past there were no TVs, there were no phones. People must have lived such boring lives. But now, in spite of having multiple TV, multiple channels, multiple devices, people are still extremely bored. They're bored. Nowadays, there are people who have at their homes multi-screen TVs. In the past, we have multi-channels. Okay, one channel doesn't work, watch another channel, watch another channel, find something interesting. Now they have multi-screen TVs so that you can have multiple channels being watched at the same time. So if this is not interesting, watch that. If that is not interesting, watch that. And there are remotes which serve all 4 channels simultaneously. So if there are 4 TVs going on and you have four remote buttons, so people are watching, changing screens on all the 4. And still they are bored. So actually what happens is, the material reality is for the soul, it is superficial, it is external. And it can ultimately never satisfy the soul. It gives some stimulation, but that stimulation dies out after some time. No matter how high-tech the stimulation may be, it dies out. So we can make the illusion more and more attractive, but the illusion can never give us the fulfillment that the reality can give. The child may watch horror movies, the child may watch cartoons, the child is a teenager, the child may watch romantic movies. But none of that will give the same fulfillment as, say, reciprocating lovingly with the mother, reciprocating lovingly with a real person. Similarly for us as souls, we are caught in eating the fruits, enjoying various objects in this world. But none of this can fulfill the heart because we are qualitatively, categorically different. We are souls and we need to relate with Krishna. To the extent we connect with Krishna, to that extent our real life begins. So the super soul doesn't abandon us. The super soul is always with us, no matter where we go and what we do. And we are watching the show, and the super soul doesn't watch the show, the super soul watches us, waiting for us to turn towards him. Of course, he's not just waiting, he's also working to get us to turn towards him. That's why he descends to the world. So the descent of the Lord to the world is like, say, this mother, she sees the child is watching the horror movie and the child is so horrified by it. And the mother wants to get the child out of the horror movie, but the mother can't because She touches the child thinks this is some monster from the moon. Child either doesn't want to get distracted or gets only horrified more. So what does the mother do at that time? Mother wants to help the child, so the mother may have another remote for the TV. And then she uses the remote and slowly changes the program over there. And instead of the horror movie, suddenly another film starts over there. And that film is what? That film is about that same child and mother. They went for a picnic together, they went to a park together, they went for a tour together. They are enjoying, they are loving each other. The child is safe and happy with the mother. And the child says, hey, who is this person? Who is this person? He looks so nice, loves me so much. I want to know more about it. And then in the TV itself, the child starts seeing the mother. So, the avatar of Krishna is like that. We can't perceive spiritual reality, we are perceiving only material reality. So Krishna enters into the material reality. And Krishna displays his pastimes in this material world. And when we see those pastimes, hey, what is this? This is so nice. I want to know about this. What is this going on? So if somehow our curiosity gets aroused, so Krishna descends to this world. Many people quote 4.7 and 4.8 very frequently. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir-bhavati bharata abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna descends in this world to establish dharma. It's interesting, Srila Prabhupada quotes 4.9 much more. 4.9 is Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. So people say God descends to this world to maintain order in this world. Yeah, that is true, but what is the purpose of maintaining order in this world? Ultimately, this world is a place of disorder. In physics, there is a law of entropy, which says that the level of order in any system will go down over a period of time. And that is the nature of the whole world itself. Sakale neha mahata yogo nashtaha parantapa. So Krishna will establish dharma and again adharma will start coming. That is what happens. The purpose of Krishna's descent is not just to establish dharma in this world, to establish order in this world. The purpose of establishing order in this world is to have an orderly way out of the world. The divine descent is meant to inspire the human ascent. The divine descent from the spiritual level of reality to the material level of reality is not meant to just establish order at that level, at the material level. Yes, it is meant, but primarily it is meant to inspire the human ascent, to inspire the elevation of human consciousness to the spiritual level. So 4.7 and 4.8 talk about establishing order at the material level. But 4.9 talks about raising consciousness to the spiritual level. Krishna says that those who understand the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities, they become attracted to me and they attain me. So how do they attain me? That what is required for that, Krishna tells in the next verse. 4.10 is Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashritah bahavo jnana tapasa puta madbhavamagataha. Vita raga bhaya krodha. Three things. If we want to fix our mind on Krishna, manmaya mamupashrita. If you want to fix our mind on Krishna, you want to take shelter of Krishna, these three are obstacles: attachment, fear, and anger. And the purport Prabhupada explains, attachment means that we are too caught up with this world. We just want to enjoy this world. So going back to the example of the metaphor of the TV, if somebody is too caught in watching the particular movie that is going on, some other channel starts up, but no, they turn off the channel and go back to the original channel. So if you are too attached to our own dreams and schemes for enjoyment, then even if Krishna comes right in front of us, we will not pay attention to Krishna. We just neglect Krishna. And we will move on with our own life. Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book that there are many, even when Krishna manifested his pastime in this world, even when Krishna was there, many people did not understand Krishna to be God. Okay, he's just another powerful king. Duryodhana thought that even when Krishna showed in the Vishwaroop, Duryodhana said, yes, Krishna is showing some magic. I can also show a lot of magic. What is the big deal about it? So he was too caught in his own scheme. I want to get the kingdom, I want to become the Kuru king. So there is raga. If you're too attached to watching our own movie, then we cannot see Krishna's pastimes at all. And there is bhaya. Vita, raga, bhaya and krodha. So bhaya refers to fear. So fear is not just ordinary fear, oh, this will happen, that will happen. There are circumstantial fears and there is an existential fear. Circumstantial fear means, what if I lose my job? What if my partner abandons me? What if I get, this goes wrong, that goes wrong? These are all circumstantial fears. Existential fear is about the very nature of our existence. So if somebody keeps watching one horror movie, another horror movie, another horror movie, and that person starts watching one movie, it turns out to be a horror movie. Starts watching another movie, it turns out to be a horror movie. Sometimes people watch a movie, they think this is a nice, enjoyable, romantic movie. They think they will happily live ever after. And at the end of the movie, everybody dies. It is not a romantic movie, it's a tragedy. And people feel frustrated. It's like yattad agre amrutopamam pariname vishamiva. So life turns out to be like that. It seems to be like an enjoyable movie, but it turns out to be a horror movie. So when people keep doing this, when, one thing goes wrong, second thing goes wrong, one relationship goes on, one plan goes wrong, they think, everything is just illusion. There's no real happiness. There is nothing at all. So this bhai, Prabhupada explains, fear of personal existence, fear of relationships. So even when Krishna's pastimes start coming in front of us, the loving reciprocation with Krishna and devotees come, hey, this is our personal existence, relational existence, this is going to be distressful. Any kind of relationship is miserable. There was an atheistic philosopher. He was asked, do you believe in hell? He said, yes. So what is your conception of hell? He said, hell means other people. That was his idea. That probably, if you look back at his life, his mother had abandoned him, his father was an abuser, and he grew up in a very difficult situations. So his experience of relationships was very distressing. So he thought hell means other people. Just people get out of my life. So people, they have so many negative experiences that their negative experiences, relationships, just don't want any relationship with anyone at all. So that bhaya, and Krishna's pastimes are filled with relationships. That also completely frustrates them. And then also one cannot take shelter of Krishna. If one thinks, all these movies are going to be tragedies only. So this Krishna movie is going on, so I'm seeing this, Krishna is also the same part. I'm not going to see it. Then again one cannot fix the mind on Krishna. Then there is krodha. Krodha, again, here when Krishna is talking about it, is not just circumstantial anger. It is existential anger. Existential anger means that one is unable to decide what is real and what is false. And therefore, one just stops exploring. In the first case, in the second case, bhaya, one is fearful of everything. Everything is miserable. But in krodha, one is frustrated by one's inability to discern reality, and therefore one stops exploring. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? What is true? Oh, nothing is real. Nothing is real. So one of the most prominent schools of thought in today's world is skepticism. Now people are skeptical. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Especially people who study philosophy. I was just in New York upstate. So I met Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. So he was telling me how when he was doing academic studies, he was studying philosophy. So he said, first day I heard a philosophy of one philosopher, I was quite impressed, very good. And next day in the next class was about the next philosopher who came, and he pointed out the faults of all the previous philosophers. And so each philosophy lasted for one class. So that was how philosophy classes were. And he said, after some time, it became a game for us that whatever philosophy you present, we can find holes with it. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And at that time, the whole ethos in philosophy departments is, normally in spiritual circles, we think of doubt as a weakness. Doubt is a weakness that is to be overcome. Because doubt prevents us from having faith and having commitment. But in academic circles, doubt is considered to be a strength. That means you are not gullible, you don't believe anything. So doubt is considered to be an intellectual virtue. The capacity to doubt, be skeptical, don't believe things. And by this what happens, whatever philosophy is brought up, this is wrong with it, this is problem, this is the problem with it, this is the problem with it. And then as he was doing this, so they all became champions of skepticism. But then at one time he was going through this, and one person made a very article. So they would all present different philosophies and they would all refute those philosophies. So one day somebody made a very articulate presentation and he said that actually we are being skeptical of everything except skepticism. So we are not taking our skepticism far enough. They think we are champions of skepticism. Yes, but if you are skeptical of everything, but why not be skeptical of skepticism? What does it mean to be skeptical of skepticism? It means that skepticism can only tell us what is wrong. It can never tell us what is right. So now if you consider the characteristics of intelligence described in the Bhagvatam 3rd canto, the first characteristic is samshaya. Atha samshayo viparyasa sumtivapanishchaya. Samshaya is the first characteristic of intelligence. So it's only an intelligent person can doubt. A foolish person will believe whatever they say. So doubt is a function of the intelligence. But doubt is not the only function of the intelligence. We have to doubt so that we evaluate. But after evaluating, we have to put faith. So when this krodha is there, one just keeps doubting, and one doesn't get anywhere. One doesn't learn anything. Then one cannot take shelter of Krishna. So doubting in the context of the movie would mean that, okay, if we have a TV, on some TV shows, there are movies which are fictional that are being depicted. There are some which are documentaries, which describe realities. And nowadays, there is a whole genre which is partially real, partially unreal. So some people tell stories, some people describe incidents in their life. Nowadays, memoirs are becoming very common. People want to hear about people. And so people write their life stories and others want to read it. Now, memoirs are very popular, but nowadays there is a special kind of editor who has come up. These editors are actually, whenever somebody submits a memoir to a publisher, now how do the publisher know whether what the person has told in the memoir is true or not? So there are these, normally editors are supposed to check the editorial content. Now this is written properly. But these editors are basically investigators. And there are many cases where some memoir of a person became immensely popular. Over 1 million copies sold, and after those 1 million copies were sold, then some people started investigating and they found most of the incidents that were described in the memoir were false. And then it became a big embarrassment for the publisher, and the author apologized, and then it became a big mess for people. So what happens is, sometimes some stories are told in such a way that what is real and what is false is difficult to know. So similarly for us, so many movies going on in our mind, which is real, which is false. If we feel, I just can't know this, and we reject everything as false, then that will not lead to reality. Mayavad is actually this idea. Everything is ultimately false. That everything is Maya. But there is, beyond Maya, there is reality. Some people say that this world is an illusion and consciousness is also an illusion. Well, okay, we can say consciousness is an illusion, but whose illusion is it? Consciousness is an illusion, but whose illusion is it? If something is an illusion, if a mirage if we are seeing water. So there's land over there, but we are seeing water. But, so we can say that seeing the mirage is an illusion. But to perceive something to be an illusion, there has to be a perceiver who is real. So, illusion cannot exist in isolation. The very existence of illusion necessitates the existence of a real observer who is an illusion. So, the consciousness, what the consciousness perceives can be illusion, but consciousness itself can't be illusion. So, there is a reality. And what that reality is revealed by scripture. So to the extent we understand this reality, by studying scripture, by associating with devotees, by philosophically discerning, and to that extent we can perceive the reality. So for us, I'll conclude with this point, there's a 3-step process for spiritual realization. And the first is that in the physical reality around us, we try to bring devotional stimuli. Like we come to the temple, we make our home into a temple, we have spiritual pictures all around us. By that, so the soul's consciousness is, there is the soul's consciousness is spiritual, and then there is the screen of the mind, and beyond the screen of the mind is the physical reality. So if we want to revive our spiritual consciousness, because our consciousness presently is caught a lot in physical reality. So, it is at the physical reality that we have to bring spiritual stimuli. Prabhupada said that the temple should be decorated, deity should be decorated in such a beautiful way that people whose minds are agitated, they feel peaceful. The Nayana Bhirama, the Lord's sight gives pleasure to the eyes. And it's interesting, even atheistic people, there was a survey done which said that actually even atheistic people, when they come to a temple or a holy place, they feel peaceful over there. Now, why they feel peaceful, they don't know. They have got some vibes of this place. But what are those vibes? They don't know. So, actually, when the Lord is glorified, when the Lord is manifest, that creates, even at a physical level, certain effect. We feel soothed. So, we need those physical stimuli first. But just the physical alone is not enough. Ultimately, from the physical, we have to come to the mental. That we have to think of Krishna. See, for somebody who occasionally visits the temple, for them, as soon as they come to the temple, it feels so special. But for those who regularly stay in the temple may not feel that special. Because that's the normal physical situation. So what happens is, whatever is the normal physical situation, we get habituated to it. So it is at the level of the mind. The consciousness has to be there. I gave a seminar on japa and tobacco in America. So after that, one devotee asked a question, why are we so inattentive in chanting? I said, it's not your problem, it's my problem also. But my understanding is, it's because we are not chanting. He says, what do you mean? He said, actually, I gave the same example of this triple screen, triple level of reality, the outer scene, the inner screen, and the inner seer. So, I said, what happens is, the tongue is chanting, and the mind is the screen on which some movie is going on. The mind is wandering. The tongue is chanting, the mind is wandering, and the soul is wondering which to do. And for the soul, as compared to the chanting of the tongue, the movie on the mind appears much more interesting. So therefore, we don't get involved itself in the process of chanting. Similarly with bhakti, whatever is, we have abandoned stimuli at the physical level, devotional stimuli. But those stimuli have to come at the mental level. Our mind has to become imprinted with Krishna. That's why Macchittaha, Macchitta Madgata Prana. We can dedicate our life to Krishna when our chitta gets dedicated to Krishna. And in this way, when the mind gets impressed with Krishna, then even when there are no physical stimuli around us, that time we can remember Krishna. There's the third canto of the Srimad Bhagvatam in Kapila's pastimes, Kapila's teachings. It is said that the first level, the lowest devotee, the Kanishta devotee, needs to worship the deities. The advanced devotee, they don't need to worship the deities. So some people extrapolate from this and say deity worship is for the less intelligent people. It is not that deity worship is for the less intelligent people. Deity worship is for everyone. But for those who are advanced, they can think of the deities even when they are not in the presence of the deities. But for those, that means the deities, Krishna has become imprinted on their inner screen. And beyond that is the spiritual level. So even Krishna being imprinted on the inner screen is not enough. Beyond that is, we become aware of Krishna through the pure faculty of the soul. Just like, going back to the horror movie, there's a horror movie going on sometimes, and sometimes the movie about the child, with the film with the child with the mother is going on. Sometimes the child sees this, sometimes the child sees that. So, but when the mind becomes impressed with Krishna, that means the child is so attached, okay, watching the movie of the mother only. But then beyond that is, the child looks and sees, oh, my mother is right next to me. So, getting Krishna impressed on our mind, that is not the perfection of spiritual realization. That is very important, but beyond that is the soul's awakening of the spiritual faculty. And when the soul's spiritual faculty is awakened, that is when the soul becomes liberated. Yatra uparamate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya. Uparamate chittam. That means all material movement of the mind on the inner screen stops. And then, yatra chaiva atmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati. In the inner world, one sees spiritual reality and releases that. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhi grahayam atindriyam. Atindriyam. This reality is perceived beyond the senses, beyond the mind, in the spiritual realm. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the Rath Yatra festival is coming, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy in Rath Yatra. So for him, Lord Jagannath was in the physical reality. He was perceiving, all eyes fixed on Jagannath. Sometimes he would go unconscious, and sometimes when he was unconscious, he was partially conscious, sometimes partially conscious of outer reality, sometimes not conscious of outer reality at all. So, now he was experiencing reality at an entirely different level. And then, not only was he experiencing spiritual reality, he was relishing the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, but actually, he was reciprocating love at the spiritual level, and that was affecting at the physical level. When he would feel Krishna is very far away from him, then all his limbs would get elongated, so that Krishna is disappearing. I would stretch out my hands, stretch out my legs, somehow reach out to Krishna. And when Krishna would be close to him, they just didn't want any other distraction. So, all the senses would withdraw in so that he could just focus completely on Krishna. And Jagannath is that manifestation. Sometimes when we are very attracted to something, when some very important class is going on, very important point is going on, somebody touches us, says later. We don't want to pay any attention to that. So if you're talking on phone and something very important is going on, then we may be looking at things, looking at people, we turn around and look at the wall. So that we don't want any other distraction. We just want to hear what is being spoken. So like that, for Lord Jagannath, what happens is, normally we want distracting sensory stimuli to go off. But when there is an intense desire for absorption, not only distracting sensory stimuli go off, but even the distracting senses itself get shrunk. And that's how Lord Jagannath's limbs have shrunk into his body, because he's completely absorbed in hearing about Krishna. So, the spiritual level manifests at the physical level. So here, for us, all these are very exalted states, but just hearing about these states of consciousness gives us the conviction that this is for real. And we also can move towards it. So we all can try to spiritualize our physical reality as much as possible, and try to get the spiritual reality, spiritual impressions impressed on our mind as much as possible. And by doing those two things at this level, gradually, by Krishna's mercy, by Prabhupada's mercy, our spiritual faculty will be awakened. And when that is awakened, then we become liberated. Even if we are in this body, we are Jivan Muktaha. We are liberated from this body, and eventually we attain Krishna's abode. So I'll summarize. I spoke today about how the soul is entangled and how Krishna helps the soul come out of the entanglement. I started by talking about how metaphors are like rubber bands. The rubber band is not the object. Similarly, metaphor is not the actual concept, but it gives us a grasp of the concept, provided we don't stretch the metaphor too much. And here the metaphor is used of a tree, which is compared to the unconscious body, and the birds are compared to the conscious living beings. So, for us to get a better understanding, I used a more contemporary metaphor of a screen. So a child watching a horror movie and the mother sitting next to it. That's like the soul and the super soul. And this screen is the mind. So the mind is meant to act like a window to the outer world, showing us what the senses are seeing. But the mind can also act like a TV, showing us something entirely different. And when the mind changes from a screen to a TV, from a window to a TV, we may not understand. And that's how we may have unpredictable mood swings. So we need to become more self-aware to understand what is happening, what is actually, to evaluate what is being depicted on the screen. When I talked about Krishna as the super soul, he is not unconcerned, he is unaffected. Just like the mother is unaffected. And because we are so caught in material reality, we go to the Avarnatmika and the Prakshepatmika Shakti. So Avarnatmika Shakti is like the lights around us turning off in a movie theater. And Prakshepatmika Shakti is the screen on the lights on the screen turning on, the images turning on. So we are so consumed by illusion that even if, say, the mother touches the child gets horrified. Like that, Krishna cannot connect with us right now. So the mother on that screen starts a movie about herself and her child. So similarly, Krishna descends to this world and starts manifesting his transcendental pastimes at the material level. Krishna descends not primarily to establish order in this world, but primarily to establish an orderly way out of this world. The divine descent is meant to inspire the human ascent. And for getting attracted towards Krishna and for taking shelter of Krishna, there are three obstacles. If you're too attached to worldly enjoyment, to dreams and schemes of worldly enjoyment, just watching the movie, then we won't turn towards Krishna's pastimes. If, because of too many bad experiences, we just become afraid of relationships, afraid of personality, then again, we will stay away from Krishna because of that existential fear. Or, if we have been deceived many times, and we are now lost faith about what is real and what is not real, and we just become frustrated skeptics, then also, we will not explore reality. If we are skeptical, then we need to become more skeptical and become skeptical about skepticism. So skepticism can only tell us what is wrong, it can never tell us what is right. To say everything is an illusion begs the question, who is saying that everything is an illusion? So the very existence of illusion requires a reality whose illusion it is. So there is a reality. And by practicing bhakti, we can all rise to that reality. So bhakti involves three stages. First is the physical stimuli. There is the inner seer is the soul, the inner screen is the mind, the outer scene is the world around us. So first step is the outer scene gets spiritualized. We bring as many spiritual stimuli as possible in the outer environment so that we can start connecting with Krishna. And after that, by this, the inner screen needs to be fixed with spiritual impressions. Then wherever we go in the outer scenes, outer world, we will be able to remember Krishna. And ultimately, beyond the body and beyond the mind, the soul's spiritual faculty becomes awakened, and the soul directly, independent of the body and mind, reciprocates eternal love with Krishna. And that is the stage of supreme liberation and supreme perfection. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Is there any one question? Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagvatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.